This video contains audio content only. There are no visual elements or images accompanying the audio. If you're expecting to see video footage, please note that this is an intentional audio-only presentation. We recommend listening to this content rather than watching the screen. Thank you for your understanding and enjoy the audio. Today, we're going to explore several fascinating aspects of South American marsupials that highlight their unique place in evolutionary history. We'll examine how these animals evolved, spread across continents, and developed remarkable adaptations that allowed them to thrive in diverse environments. This story spans millions of years and connects multiple continents, showing us how geological changes, climate shifts, and biological innovations shaped the diversity we see today. The tale of South American marsupials is particularly interesting because it challenges many of our assumptions about evolution and biogeography. These animals have survived major extinction events, crossed oceans, and adapted to dramatically changing environments. Their story provides crucial insights into how species evolve, migrate, and adapt over time. Throughout our discussion, we'll explore how modern scientific techniques, from DNA analysis to detailed fossil studies, have revolutionized our understanding of these remarkable creatures. We'll see how new discoveries continue to reshape our knowledge of their evolutionary history and their relationships with other mammals. What makes this topic especially relevant is that it helps us understand broader patterns in evolution and biogeography. The story of South American marsupials isn't just about these specific animals. It's about how life on Earth adapts and changes over time, how species respond to environmental challenges, and how geological processes can shape biological diversity. 1. Origins and early evolution. The story of South American marsupials begins not in South America at all, but rather in what is now Asia, during the age of dinosaurs. This might seem surprising, but it's a perfect example of how evolution often takes unexpected paths. During the late Cretaceous period, about 125 million years ago, the first marsupial-like mammals appeared in the fossil record. These early marsupials were small, likely nocturnal creatures that lived alongside dinosaurs. They weren't quite like the marsupials we know today, but they had already developed some of the key characteristics that would define the group, including specialized dental patterns and early versions of reproductive adaptations. The journey from Asia to South America was long and complex. These early marsupials first spread into North America across land bridges that existed during the Cretaceous period. North America served as a crucial evolutionary laboratory where many marsupial characteristics were refined and developed. The fossil record shows a diverse array of species experimenting with different lifestyles and adaptations. What's particularly fascinating is how these early marsupials managed to thrive in an environment dominated by dinosaurs. They likely occupied ecological niches that larger animals couldn't exploit, using their small size and nocturnal habits to their advantage. This period of evolution under pressure from dinosaur dominance may have helped shape many of the adaptations we see in marsupials today. The transition from North America to South America represents a crucial point in marsupial evolution. This migration occurred before the extinction event that would eliminate the dinosaurs, meaning that marsupials were already established in South America when this major ecological upheaval occurred. This timing proved to be incredibly fortunate for their subsequent diversification. In South America, these early marsupials encountered an environment with fewer competitors and abundant resources. This allowed them to undergo what scientists call an adaptive radiation, a rapid diversification into many different forms and ecological niches. Some became predators, others herbivores, and still others developed specialized diets and behaviors. The early South American marsupials developed an impressive array of adaptations. Some evolved to become effective predators, with strong jaws and specialized teeth for hunting. Others developed adaptations for climbing trees, while still others became efficient grazers. This diversification showed the remarkable plasticity of the marsupial body plan. One of the most interesting aspects of early marsupial evolution in South America was the development of convergent evolution, where different species independently evolved similar features to adapt to similar environmental challenges. This led to marsupials that superficially resembled placental mammals, despite having very different evolutionary histories. The fossil record from this period shows an incredible diversity of forms. There were marsupial equivalents of wolves, cats, and bears, all evolving independently from their placental counterparts. This demonstrates how similar environmental pressures can lead to similar evolutionary solutions, even in different groups of animals. 2. Biogeographic distribution. The biogeographic story of South American marsupials represents one of the most fascinating examples of continental-scale species distribution in evolutionary history. This remarkable tale spans multiple continents, millions of years, and showcases how geological processes fundamentally shape biological diversity. Let's begin with the ancient supercontinent of Gondwana. Around 180 million years ago, what we now know as South America, Africa, Antarctica, and Australia were all connected in this massive landmass. This connection provided crucial migration routes for early marsupials, but the timing and patterns of these movements were far more complex than initially thought. The first major migration wave occurred when marsupials moved from North America into South America during the late Cretaceous period. At this time, these continents had periodic connections through island chains and land bridges. These weren't permanent connections, but rather a series of stepping stones that allowed species to gradually expand their range southward. This process, known as island hopping, played a crucial role in marsupial distribution. Once established in South America, marsupials began an extraordinary journey that would eventually lead them to Australia. The route went through Antarctica, which at that time was not the frozen continent we know today. During the late Cretaceous and early Paleocene, Antarctica supported temperate forests and had a climate that could sustain diverse marsupial populations. This Antarctic connection served as a vital corridor for marsupial movement between South America and Australia. The timing of these movements coincided with significant global climate changes. As marsupials were spreading across the southern continents, the world was experiencing dramatic shifts in temperature and atmospheric composition. These environmental changes influenced which species could survive and thrive in different regions. For example, some marsupial groups that were well adapted to warmer climates found themselves restricted to more northern areas as global temperatures cooled. In South America itself, marsupials spread across diverse habitats, from tropical rainforests to temperate grasslands. This continental-scale distribution led to remarkable adaptations specific to different environments. The opossums of the Amazon developed specialized features for arboreal life, while species in more open habitats evolved characteristics suited for terrestrial living. The variety of habitats in South America drove the evolution of different marsupial forms. One particularly interesting aspect of marsupial distribution is the pattern of endemism. Species being unique to specific regions. South America developed several endemic marsupial families that evolved nowhere else. For instance, the shrew opossums, Caenolestidae, are found exclusively in the Andes Mountains, where they've adapted to high-altitude environments. This family represents an ancient lineage that has survived in these specialized habitats for millions of years. The separation of South America from Antarctica, which occurred around 34 million years ago, marked a crucial point in marsupial biogeography. This event effectively isolated South American marsupials from their Australian relatives, leading to independent evolutionary trajectories on each continent. This separation explains many of the differences we see today between South American and Australian marsupials. The distribution patterns were further complicated by the Great American Biotic Interchange, which began around 3 million years ago when North and South America became connected by the Panama Land Bridge. This event allowed some South American marsupials, particularly opossums, to expand their range northward. The Virginia opossum, for example, successfully colonized North America and now ranges as far north as Canada. Modern distribution patterns also reflect the influence of more recent climate changes, including the ice ages of the Pleistocene epoch. These climate fluctuations created expanding and contracting habitat zones that forced marsupial populations to move and adapt. Some species became isolated in refugia, areas that maintained favorable conditions during climate extremes, leading to speciation events. The current distribution of South American marsupials shows interesting patterns related to habitat type and elevation. Some species are restricted to specific elevation zones in the Andes, while others range across vast lowland areas. The Amazon basin hosts the highest diversity of marsupial species, with many specialized for life in different forest strata, from the forest floor to the canopy. The role of rivers as barriers to distribution is particularly evident in South America. Major rivers like the Amazon and its tributaries often mark the boundaries between different marsupial species or subspecies. This pattern, known as riverine barriers, has contributed to the evolution of distinct populations and species on either side of these waterways. Contemporary human activities have significantly impacted marsupial distribution patterns. Habitat fragmentation, deforestation, and climate change are creating new challenges for these animals. Some species are being forced to shift their ranges, while others are becoming increasingly isolated in habitat fragments. Understanding these historical distribution patterns is crucial for modern conservation efforts. By knowing how and why marsupials spread across South America, we can better predict how they might respond to future environmental changes and develop more effective conservation strategies. The biogeographic story of South American marsupials also provides important insights into broader questions about evolution and species distribution. It shows how geological events, climate change, and biological factors interact over long time periods to shape biodiversity patterns. This understanding is increasingly important as we face contemporary challenges in biodiversity conservation. 3. Competition and coexistence. The story of how South American marsupials managed to compete and coexist with placental mammals represents one of evolution's most intriguing natural experiments. This complex relationship spans millions of years and provides crucial insights into ecological competition, adaptation, and survival strategies. When marsupials first established themselves in South America, they encountered relatively little competition from other mammals. The continent was effectively an island during much of the early Cenozoic era, allowing marsupials to evolve and diversify into numerous ecological niches. However, this period of relative isolation wouldn't last forever, and the ensuing competition would reshape the continent's mammalian fauna. The initial radiation of marsupials in South America produced an impressive array of forms. There were predatory marsupials that filled roles similar to modern cats and dogs, herbivorous species that occupied niches similar to modern rabbits and deer, and even specialized forms that had no clear modern analogues. This diversification occurred alongside the evolution of native South American placental mammals, including early xenarthrans, ancestors of modern sloths and armadillos, and various unique ungulate groups. One of the most fascinating aspects of this coexistence was the development of parallel adaptations. Both marsupial and placental carnivores, for example, evolved similar tooth structures and hunting strategies despite their different evolutionary origins. This convergent evolution demonstrates how similar ecological pressures can produce similar solutions in different lineages. The competitive dynamics between marsupials and placentals were complex and varied across different habitats and time periods. In some cases, marsupials proved highly successful at maintaining their ecological roles despite competition. The opossums, for instance, remained effective small omnivores, even when facing competition from rodents and other small placental mammals. A crucial turning point in this evolutionary drama came with the Great American Biotic Interchange, when North and South America connected via the Panama Land Bridge. This event, beginning around 3 million years ago, led to a massive exchange of species between the continents. North American placental mammals, including cats, dogs, deer, and rodents, moved south, while some South American species, including marsupials, moved north. The outcomes of this interchange were asymmetrical. Many South American marsupial groups faced intense competition from the newly arrived placental mammals. Some groups went extinct, while others underwent significant adaptations to survive. The survivors often showed remarkable ecological flexibility, developing new behaviors and dietary preferences to avoid direct competition with placentals. One key to marsupial survival was their ability to exploit ecological niches that placentals couldn't easily occupy. Many marsupials became specialists in particular habitats or dietary strategies. For example, some developed the ability to consume toxic plants that other mammals couldn't digest, while others became experts at surviving in resource-poor environments. The success of modern South American marsupials in coexisting with placentals can be attributed to several factors. Their reproductive strategy, while different from placentals, proves advantageous in certain circumstances. The ability to abort or pause pregnancy during unfavorable conditions, combined with the protection offered by the pouch, allows marsupials to survive in unstable environments where placental mammals might struggle. Modern research has revealed fascinating aspects of this competition and coexistence. Studies of habitat use show that marsupials and placentals often partition resources in subtle ways. They might be active at different times of day, focus on different food items, or use different parts of the same habitat. This niche partitioning allows multiple species to coexist in the same area without direct competition. The arboreal capabilities of many South American marsupials represent another successful adaptation. Their prehensile tails and flexible limbs make them particularly well suited to life in the trees, allowing them to exploit resources that many placental mammals cannot easily access. This specialization has helped ensure their survival even in areas with high placental diversity. Contemporary competition between marsupials and placentals continues to shape both groups. In urban environments, for example, some marsupial species have proven remarkably adaptable, learning to coexist with both native and introduced placental mammals. This ongoing adaptation demonstrates the continuing evolution of competitive strategies. The study of competition between marsupials and placentals has important implications for understanding broader ecological principles. It shows how different evolutionary strategies can be equally successful under different circumstances, and how competition can drive both extinction and adaptation. The persistence of marsupials in South America also challenges some traditional assumptions about competitive superiority. While placental mammals may have certain advantages, the continued success of marsupials demonstrates that alternative evolutionary strategies can be equally viable over long time periods. 4. Unique adaptations. The adaptive features of South American marsupials represent some of the most innovative solutions to evolutionary challenges in the mammalian world. These adaptations span everything from reproductive biology to locomotion, and from sensory systems to metabolic processes, creating a remarkable showcase of evolutionary innovation. Let's start with their most distinctive feature, the reproductive system. South American marsupials have evolved a unique approach to reproduction that differs significantly from both their Australian cousins and placental mammals. The female reproductive tract in these animals has evolved a complex system of 3 vaginas, 2 lateral ones for mating and a median one for birth. This arrangement, while seemingly complicated, provides several evolutionary advantages. The reproductive timing in South American marsupials is particularly fascinating. Unlike Australian marsupials, many South American species can breed year-round, an adaptation that helps them take advantage of the more consistent resource availability in tropical environments. The Virginia opossum, for example, can produce up to 3 litters per year, with each litter containing up to 20 young. The development of young in South American marsupials shows remarkable variation. While all marsupials give birth to relatively underdeveloped young, the degree of development at birth varies significantly among species. Some, like the yapok, water opossum, have evolved specialized pouch structures that create a waterproof seal, allowing them to swim while carrying young. This adaptation represents a unique solution to the challenge of aquatic life while maintaining the marsupial reproductive strategy. Sensory adaptations in South American marsupials are equally impressive. Many species have developed highly sensitive tactile systems, with specialized whiskers and touch-sensitive skin that helps them navigate in low-light conditions. The common opossum, for example, has extraordinary tactile sensitivity in its prehensile tail, allowing it to grasp and manipulate objects with remarkable precision in complete darkness. The metabolic adaptations of South American marsupials are particularly interesting from an evolutionary perspective. Many species have evolved lower metabolic rates compared to similarly sized placental mammals, an adaptation that allows them to survive on fewer resources. This efficiency comes with trade-offs. They generally have lower body temperatures and slower growth rates, but it has proven to be a successful strategy in resource-limited environments. Dietary adaptations show remarkable diversity. The Manito del Monte, found in Chile and Argentina, has evolved specialized digestive processes that allow it to enter torpor during food scarcity, reducing its energy requirements by up to 95%. Other species have developed unique dentition patterns that allow them to process everything from tough vegetation to hard-shelled invertebrates. Locomotor adaptations in South American marsupials demonstrate impressive variety. The yapak has evolved webbed feet for swimming, while many tree-dwelling species have developed prehensile tails and specialized foot structures for climbing. These adaptations often show convergent evolution with placental mammals, but achieve similar functions through different anatomical modifications. Perhaps one of the most remarkable adaptations is found in their immune systems. South American marsupials have evolved unique immune responses that allow them to resist certain diseases that affect placental mammals. The Virginia opossum, for instance, shows natural resistance to snake venom, an adaptation that likely evolved due to frequent encounters with venomous snakes. The nervous system of South American marsupials shows interesting adaptations as well. Unlike placental mammals, they lack a corpus callosum connecting the two hemispheres of the brain. Instead, they've evolved alternative neural pathways that achieve similar functions through different means. This demonstrates how evolution can find multiple solutions to the same biological challenge. These marsupials have also developed fascinating behavioral adaptations. The famous playing possum behavior of opossums, where they enter a catatonic state when threatened, represents a unique defensive strategy not seen in other mammalian groups. This behavior involves complex physiological changes, including reduced heart rate and the production of death-mimicking odors. Thermal regulation adaptations in South American marsupials show interesting variations. Many species have evolved the ability to maintain lower body temperatures than placental mammals, which reduces their energy requirements. Some species can even enter daily torpor, lowering their metabolism significantly during inactive periods. The skeletal system of South American marsupials shows several unique modifications. They possess epipubic bones, which aren't found in placental mammals. These bones, while originally thought to be related to pouch support, actually play a role in locomotion and muscle attachment. This represents an interesting case of existing structures being co-opted for new functions during evolution. Their skin and fur have evolved specialized features as well. Many species have developed water-resistant fur, and some have evolved specialized scent glands used for communication and territory marking. The arrangement of these glands often differs significantly from similar structures in placental mammals. The digestive system in South American marsupials shows remarkable adaptations to different diets. Some species have evolved specialized stomachs for fermentation of plant material, while others have developed unique enzyme systems for processing specific types of prey. These adaptations allow them to exploit food resources that might be unavailable to other mammals. 5. Modern diversity. The current diversity of South American marsupials represents a fascinating snapshot of evolutionary success, with over 100 species displaying an extraordinary range of adaptations, behaviors, and ecological roles. This modern diversity tells a compelling story of survival, adaptation, and continuing evolution in one of Earth's most biologically rich regions. Let's begin with the most numerous group, the opossums of the family Didelphidae. This family alone contains nearly 90 species, ranging from the mouse-sized species weighing just a few grams to the larger common opossum reaching up to 5 kilograms. These animals occupy virtually every terrestrial habitat from sea level to high-altitude Andean forests, demonstrating remarkable ecological flexibility. The diversity of modern South American marsupials can be categorized into several distinct ecological groups. First, we have the arboreal specialists, like the woolly opossums, genus Caluremys, which rarely descend to the ground. These animals have evolved extremely specialized adaptations for life in the canopy, including prehensile tails, enhanced night vision, and unique locomotor abilities that allow them to move efficiently through three-dimensional space. Then there are the semi-aquatic specialists, represented by the remarkable yapak or water opossum, Chironectes minimus. This unique species is the only living aquatic marsupial in the world. It has evolved webbed feet, water-resistant fur, and special adaptations to its pouch that allow it to hunt underwater while protecting its young. The yapak represents a perfect example of how marsupials have successfully invaded extremely specialized ecological niches. The shrew opossums, family Caenolestidae, represent another fascinating group of modern South American marsupials. These small, mouse-like animals are restricted to high-altitude habitats in the Andes Mountains. Despite their superficial resemblance to shrews, they represent an ancient lineage of marsupials that has survived in South America for millions of years. Their current diversity includes several species adapted to different elevation zones and habitat types within the Andean region. The mouse opossums, genus Marmosa, show remarkable diversity in size and habitat preferences. These small marsupials have successfully colonized a wide range of environments, from lowland rainforests to mountain slopes. Different species show specialized adaptations for various diets, from purely insectivorous to more omnivorous feeding strategies. Their success is evidenced by their wide distribution and the continuing discovery of new species through detailed genetic and morphological studies. One of the most interesting aspects of modern marsupial diversity in South America is the pattern of species distribution. Some areas, particularly in the Amazon basin, can host up to 7 different species of marsupials in a single location. These species manage to coexist through subtle differences in their ecological niches, including variations in activity patterns, preferred foraging heights in the forest, and dietary specializations. The short-tailed opossums, genus Monodulphus, represent another diverse group. With over 20 species currently recognized, these terrestrial marsupials show fascinating variations in size, coloration, and habitat preferences. Some species are specialists in forest environments, while others have adapted to more open habitats. Their diversity demonstrates how a single evolutionary lineage can radiate to fill multiple ecological roles. The contemporary diversity of South American marsupials also includes several unique behavioral adaptations. Some species have evolved complex social behaviors, contrary to the traditional view of marsupials as solitary animals. For example, some mouse opossums show evidence of social bonding and cooperative behaviors, particularly during breeding seasons. The geographical distribution of modern diversity shows interesting patterns. The greatest species richness is found in the Amazon basin, but there are also important centers of diversity in the Atlantic forest of Brazil, the Andean regions, and the various forest fragments scattered throughout South America. Each of these regions hosts unique species assemblages adapted to local conditions. What's particularly fascinating about modern marsupial diversity in South America is the continuing discovery of new species. Advanced genetic techniques and detailed morphological studies regularly reveal previously unknown species, particularly in remote or poorly studied areas. This suggests that our understanding of marsupial diversity is still incomplete. The ecological roles played by modern South American marsupials are diverse and important. Many species serve as seed dispersers, helping to maintain forest diversity through their feeding habits. Others are important predators of insects and small vertebrates, helping to control pest populations. Some species even play roles in pollination, visiting flowers for nectar and transferring pollen between plants. The adaptability of modern marsupials is demonstrated by their response to human-modified environments. Some species, like the common opossum, have successfully adapted to urban and suburban environments, showing remarkable behavioral flexibility. Others remain strictly dependent on natural habitats, serving as indicators of ecosystem health. Modern South American marsupial diversity also includes interesting variations in reproductive strategies. While all share the basic marsupial reproductive pattern, there are significant differences in breeding seasons, litter sizes, and parental care strategies among different species. These variations reflect adaptations to different environmental conditions and ecological pressures. 6. Extinction events. The history of South American marsupials is marked by several significant extinction events that have shaped their current diversity and distribution. These extinction episodes provide crucial insights into how species respond to environmental changes and what factors determine survival during periods of crisis. The first major extinction event affecting South American marsupials occurred during the late Cretaceous-Paleogene boundary, approximately 66 million years ago. This global catastrophe, which eliminated the non-avian dinosaurs, also had profound effects on marsupial populations. However, unlike many other groups, several marsupial lineages showed remarkable resilience during this period. The evidence suggests that their ability to enter torpor, combined with their generalist feeding habits, may have helped them survive when more specialized species perished. During the early to middle Miocene, approximately 20 to 15 million years ago, South American marsupials experienced another significant extinction event. This period saw the disappearance of several major carnivorous marsupial groups, including the fearsome Sparassodonts. These animals, some of which had evolved to become apex predators similar to modern big cats, vanished from the fossil record. The timing of their extinction coincides with significant climate changes and the evolution of competing placental carnivores. The most dramatic extinction event for South American marsupials occurred during the Great American Biotic Interchange, GABI, which began approximately 3 million years ago. When North and South America became connected via the Panama Land Bridge, numerous North American species moved south, introducing new competitors and predators. This event led to the extinction of many endemic South American marsupial groups that had evolved in isolation. The pattern of extinctions during the GABI reveals interesting aspects of competition and adaptation. Large predatory marsupials were among the first to disappear, possibly due to competition with more efficient placental carnivores like cats and dogs. However, smaller, more generalist marsupials showed greater resilience. The success of opossums during this period demonstrates how behavioral flexibility and dietary adaptability can be crucial for survival. The Quaternary extinctions, occurring around 12,000 years ago, marked another significant period of loss for South American marsupials. This event, coinciding with both climate change at the end of the last ice age and the arrival of humans in the Americas, led to the disappearance of several marsupial species. However, the impact was less severe than for many other mammal groups, possibly because many marsupials were already adapted to dealing with environmental stress. What's particularly interesting about these extinction events is the pattern of selective survival. Certain traits appear to have consistently favored survival across different extinction episodes. These include small to medium body size, dietary flexibility, ability to enter torpor or otherwise reduce metabolic needs, behavioral adaptability, reproductive strategies allowing rapid population recovery. The fossil record shows that after each extinction event, surviving marsupial lineages often underwent rapid diversification, filling newly vacant ecological niches. This pattern of extinction, followed by adaptive radiation, has been a recurring theme in South American marsupial evolution. Modern extinction pressures present new challenges for South American marsupials. Habitat destruction, climate change, and human activities are creating novel selective pressures. Some species are showing remarkable adaptability. The Virginia opossum, for example, has actually expanded its range in response to human-modified landscapes. Others, however, are experiencing significant population declines. The study of past extinction events provides valuable insights for modern conservation efforts. Understanding which traits promoted survival during past crises helps predict which species might be most vulnerable to current threats. This knowledge is crucial for developing effective conservation strategies. One fascinating aspect of marsupial extinctions is the role of body size. Throughout their evolutionary history, larger marsupial species have been more vulnerable to extinction than smaller ones. This pattern continues today, with larger species generally facing greater conservation challenges than their smaller relatives. The geographic pattern of extinctions also reveals important insights. Species with restricted ranges have historically been more vulnerable to extinction than those with broader distributions. This pattern has important implications for modern conservation, as habitat fragmentation increasingly restricts species ranges. Extinction events have also influenced marsupial reproductive strategies. The surviving lineages often show reproductive adaptations that allow rapid population recovery after environmental disturbances. These include the ability to carry multiple embryos, suspend pregnancy during unfavorable conditions, and produce multiple litters per year. The timing and pattern of past extinctions also reveals interesting relationships with climate change. Marsupials have generally shown greater resilience to gradual climate changes than to rapid environmental shifts. This observation has important implications for predicting how modern species might respond to contemporary climate change. 7. Fossil evidence. The fossil record of South American marsupials provides a remarkable window into their evolutionary history, offering crucial evidence about their origins, diversification, and adaptation over millions of years. This fossil evidence has revolutionized our understanding of marsupial evolution and continues to yield new insights with each discovery. The earliest definitive marsupial fossils from South America date to the late Cretaceous period, approximately 70 million years ago. These fossils, found in Argentina's Los Alamitos Formation, include teeth and jaw fragments that show early marsupial dental characteristics. The specimens reveal that even these early forms had already developed specialized features for different dietary habits, suggesting rapid early diversification. One of the most significant fossil discoveries came from the Tiupampa locality in Bolivia, dating to the early Paleocene, about 65 million years ago. These extraordinarily well-preserved specimens include complete skulls and partial skeletons of several marsupial species. The Tiupampa fossils are particularly important because they provide detailed information about the early diversity of South American marsupials immediately after the extinction of the dinosaurs. The quality of preservation at Tiupampa has allowed paleontologists to study minute details of tooth structure, skull anatomy, and postcranial skeleton features. These details have revealed that early South American marsupials already displayed a wide range of adaptations, from small insectivorous forms to larger omnivorous species. The fossils also show evidence of specialized arboreal adaptations, indicating that early marsupials were already exploiting tree-dwelling niches. Another crucial fossil site is the Itaboraí Basin in Brazil, dating to the early Eocene, around 50 million years ago. This locality has yielded thousands of specimens representing dozens of marsupial species. The Itaboraí fossils demonstrate an explosion of marsupial diversity, with species ranging from tiny mouse-sized animals to larger predatory forms. The diversity of tooth shapes found at this site indicates that marsupials had evolved to exploit virtually every available dietary niche. The fossil record becomes particularly interesting during the Middle Miocene, about 15 million years ago, when we see evidence of giant carnivorous marsupials. The most famous of these is Thylacosmolus, often called the marsupial sabertooth. These fossils show remarkable convergent evolution with placental sabertooth cats. Despite having evolved these features independently, the anatomical details preserved in these fossils reveal how these animals hunted and processed their prey. Particularly valuable are the cave deposits found throughout South America, which preserve fossils from the last few million years. These more recent fossils allow scientists to track changes in marsupial populations leading up to the present day. They provide crucial evidence about how marsupials responded to climate changes and the arrival of competing placental mammals during the Great American Biotic Interchange. The fossil record has also preserved evidence of extinct marsupial groups that have no modern counterparts. The Sparassodonts, for example, were a diverse group of predatory marsupials that filled the ecological roles now occupied by cats, dogs, and other carnivorous placentals. Their fossils show a remarkable range of adaptations for different hunting strategies, from pursuit predators to ambush specialists. Microfossils, particularly teeth, have been especially important in reconstructing marsupial evolution. Teeth preserve well and contain detailed information about diet and evolutionary relationships. Changes in tooth structure through time reveal how different lineages adapted to changing environments and food sources. The evolution of specialized crushing molars, for instance, tracks the development of different dietary adaptations. Some of the most informative fossils come from cave deposits in the Andes Mountains. These high-altitude sites have preserved remains of marsupials that lived during periods of significant climate change, showing how species responded to environmental fluctuations. The fossils reveal that some lineages adapted to higher elevations, while others remained restricted to lowland habitats. Taphonomic studies, investigations of how organisms became fossilized, have revealed interesting patterns in marsupial preservation. Many of the best preserved specimens come from river deposits or cave systems, suggesting these environments were particularly good at preserving marsupial remains. This understanding helps paleontologists target their searches for new fossils more effectively. Modern techniques have greatly enhanced the value of fossil evidence. CT scanning of fossil skulls, for example, has revealed details about brain structure and sensory capabilities in extinct species. Chemical analysis of fossil teeth provides information about diet and habitat preferences. These new approaches continue to extract additional information from existing specimens. The distribution of fossils across South America also tells an important story about marsupial biogeography. Fossils from different time periods and locations help reconstruct how marsupials spread across the continent and adapted to different environments. They also reveal past connections between now isolated populations. 8. Migration patterns. The migration patterns of South American marsupials represent one of the most fascinating chapters in biogeographical history, encompassing continental-scale movements across millions of years. These patterns have been revealed through a combination of fossil evidence, genetic analysis, and geological data, painting a picture of remarkable journeys and adaptations. The earliest major migration event occurred when marsupial ancestors moved from North America into South America during the late Cretaceous period. This journey took place across a series of islands or temporary land connections that existed between the two continents. What makes this migration particularly interesting is that it occurred in multiple waves, with different groups making the journey at different times. The pathways these early marsupials used were complex and dynamic. Recent geological evidence suggests that the connection between North and South America during the late Cretaceous was not a simple land bridge, but rather an archipelago of islands. This island-hopping pattern of migration would have had important implications for evolution, as populations became temporarily isolated on different islands, promoting speciation. One of the most significant migration events was the movement of marsupials from South America to Antarctica, and then on to Australia. This occurred when these continents were still connected as part of Gondwana. The timing of this migration has been precisely tracked through both fossil evidence and molecular clock studies, suggesting it took place around 60 to 65 million years ago. The marsupials that made this journey would eventually give rise to all Australian marsupials. The environmental conditions during these migrations were dramatically different from today. Antarctica was ice-free and covered in temperate forests, providing suitable habitat for marsupials during their journey. As they moved across these different environments, the animals had to adapt to changing conditions, leading to the evolution of new traits and behaviors. Within South America itself, marsupials underwent numerous migration events as they spread across the continent. The Andes Mountains, which were forming during this period, played a crucial role in these movements. As the mountains rose, they created new habitats and barriers, leading to the isolation of populations and subsequent speciation. This process can be seen in the current distribution of different marsupial species along elevation gradients. The Amazon River system has also been a major influence on marsupial migration patterns. As the river network evolved, it created both barriers and corridors for animal movement. Some species became isolated on opposite sides of major rivers, leading to divergent evolution. Others used the riverine environments as highways for dispersal, allowing them to colonize new areas. Perhaps the most recent significant migration event was the northward expansion of opossums during the Great American Biotic Interchange. When North and South America became connected via the Panama Land Bridge about 3 million years ago, only a few marsupial species successfully moved northward. The Virginia opossum, Didelphis virginiana, represents one of the most successful examples, eventually spreading as far north as Canada. Modern tracking studies have revealed that contemporary marsupials continue to show complex migration patterns at both individual and population levels. Some species undertake seasonal movements in response to resource availability, while others show dispersal patterns related to breeding or population density. These movements are often highly sophisticated, with animals using mental maps of their territory and showing remarkable ability to navigate through complex environments. The influence of climate change on migration patterns has been particularly noteworthy. Historical evidence shows that marsupials responded to past climate changes by shifting their ranges, often moving up or down mountain slopes or latitudinally in response to temperature changes. This has important implications for understanding how modern species might respond to contemporary climate change. Human modifications to the landscape have created new challenges for marsupial migration. Habitat fragmentation has disrupted traditional movement patterns, forcing some species to adapt their migration strategies. Some species have shown remarkable flexibility in using human-modified landscapes as migration corridors, while others have become increasingly isolated in habitat fragments. Recent genetic studies have revealed complex patterns of historical population movements that weren't visible in the fossil record. These studies show that many species have undergone multiple range expansions and contractions, often in response to climate fluctuations during the Pleistocene ice ages. This genetic evidence has also revealed cryptic species, populations that look similar but have been genetically isolated for millions of years. Modern migration patterns also show interesting differences between males and females. In many species, young males disperse over longer distances than females, which tend to remain closer to their birth territories. This sex-biased dispersal has important implications for population genetics and species' ability to colonize new areas. 9. Living fossils. The concept of living fossils among South American marsupials provides a fascinating window into evolutionary history, with several species representing remarkably ancient lineages that have changed little over millions of years. These living fossils not only help us understand past ecosystems, but also demonstrate the long-term stability of certain adaptive strategies. The most notable living fossil among South American marsupials is the Manito del Monte, Dromaeosaurus scleroides, found in the temperate rainforests of Chile and Argentina. This small, mouse-sized marsupial represents the only surviving member of the order Microbiotheria, a lineage that diverged from other marsupials over 60 million years ago. What makes this species particularly fascinating is its closer relationship to Australian marsupials than to other South American species, making it a crucial link in understanding marsupial evolution. The Manito del Monte has retained numerous primitive characteristics that were likely present in early marsupials. These include details of skull anatomy, tooth structure, and reproductive biology that closely match fossil forms from the early Cenozoic. Its survival in the cool, wet forests of southern South America represents a remarkable case of evolutionary stasis, where an ancient lineage has persisted largely unchanged in a stable environment. Another group of living fossils are the shrew opossums, family Caenolestidae, which represent an ancient lineage that has survived in the Andes Mountains. These small, insectivorous marsupials retain many primitive features in their skull and dentition that closely resemble fossils from over 20 million years ago. Their survival in high-altitude environments demonstrates how geographic isolation can preserve ancient lineages. What makes these living fossils particularly valuable to science is their ability to provide insights into the biology and behavior of extinct species. By studying their physiology, behavior, and ecological requirements, researchers can better understand how their ancient relatives might have lived and what conditions allowed them to survive when other lineages went extinct. The persistence of these living fossils challenges some traditional views about evolution. Their long-term survival suggests that evolutionary stasis can be as successful a strategy as continuous change, particularly in stable environments. The fact that these species have survived multiple extinction events while retaining primitive features raises interesting questions about the relationship between evolutionary change and survival. Modern genetic studies of these living fossils have revealed surprising levels of genetic diversity within populations. Despite their morphological conservatism, this suggests that while their external appearance and basic anatomy have remained stable, they have continued to evolve at the molecular level, maintaining the genetic flexibility necessary for long-term survival. The habitats where these living fossils persist share certain characteristics. They tend to be environmentally stable over long time periods, geographically isolated, and relatively free from intense competition. The temperate rainforests of southern South America, for example, have maintained similar conditions for millions of years, allowing the Manito del Monte to persist with little change. The reproductive biology of these living fossils provides particularly valuable insights into early marsupial evolution. The Manito del Monte, for instance, shows unique features in its placental development that may represent an intermediate stage between more primitive and more advanced marsupial reproductive strategies. This helps reconstruct the evolution of marsupial reproduction. Their survival strategies often include remarkable physiological adaptations. The Manito del Monte, for example, is one of the few South American marsupials capable of entering true hibernation, a trait that may have helped it survive past climate fluctuations. This ability, combined with its specialized diet and habitat requirements, has allowed it to persist in a restricted geographic range while maintaining its primitive characteristics. Conservation of these living fossils presents unique challenges. Their restricted distributions and specific habitat requirements make them particularly vulnerable to environmental changes. The loss of these species would not only represent the extinction of unique species but also the disappearance of entire evolutionary lineages that have persisted for millions of years. The study of these living fossils has important implications for understanding evolutionary processes. Their existence demonstrates that evolution doesn't always proceed at a constant rate, and that some lineages can remain remarkably stable over long periods if conditions permit. This challenges the assumption that continuous change is necessary for long-term survival. These species also provide important insights into the history of South American ecosystems. Their current distributions and habitat requirements help reconstruct past environmental conditions and understand how different species responded to historical climate changes. The behavioral ecology of living fossils often shows interesting combinations of primitive and derived characteristics. While they retain many ancient anatomical features, they may show sophisticated behavioral adaptations to their current environments. This suggests that behavioral flexibility might be one key to their long-term survival. 10. Ecological niches. The diversity of ecological niches occupied by South American marsupials represents one of the most remarkable examples of adaptive radiation in mammalian evolution. From the canopy-dwelling woolly opossums to the semi-aquatic yapok, these animals have evolved to exploit virtually every available habitat type and resource in their environment. In the Amazon rainforest, marsupials have developed particularly sophisticated niche partitioning. A single tree might host several different species, each occupying a distinct vertical zone and utilizing different resources. The woolly opossums spend most of their time in the upper canopy, feeding on fruits and nectar. Meanwhile, the mouse opossums typically occupy the middle levels, foraging for insects and small fruits among the branches. At the forest floor, larger opossums search for fallen fruits and small vertebrates. This vertical stratification extends beyond simple habitat preferences. Each species has evolved specific adaptations for its particular niche. Canopy specialists have developed enhanced night vision and extremely sensitive balance organs in their inner ears, allowing them to move confidently through the darkness at great heights. Middle-level species have evolved particularly dexterous hands and feet for grabbing small branches, while ground-dwelling species often show adaptations for more generalized locomotion. The evolution of feeding niches shows equally remarkable specialization. Some species have developed highly specialized dentition for specific food types. The shrew opossums, for instance, have evolved elongated snouts and specialized teeth for capturing and crushing insects. Other species show more generalized feeding adaptations, allowing them to take advantage of whatever resources are available seasonally. In the water-rich environments of South America, some marsupials have evolved to exploit aquatic resources. The yapak, or water opossum, represents the only living semi-aquatic marsupial in the world. This remarkable animal has developed webbed feet, water-resistant fur, and sealed pouches that allow it to hunt fish and crustaceans underwater while protecting its young. This adaptation to an aquatic niche is unique among modern marsupials and demonstrates the flexibility of the marsupial body plan. High-altitude environments present particular challenges, and some marsupial species have evolved specific adaptations for life in the Andes Mountains. These adaptations include enhanced oxygen-carrying capacity in their blood, thick fur for insulation, and specialized metabolic adjustments for dealing with the limited resources available at high altitudes. The success of these high-altitude specialists shows how marsupials can adapt to even the most challenging environments. The temporal niche, when animals are active, shows interesting variations among South American marsupials. While most species are nocturnal, some have evolved to be active during twilight hours or even during the day in certain circumstances. This temporal separation helps reduce competition between species that might otherwise compete for similar resources. Defensive adaptations have led to interesting niche specializations as well. Some species have evolved chemical defenses, producing strong-smelling secretions from specialized glands. Others rely on cryptic coloration or behavior, like the famous playing dead strategy of many opossums. These different defensive strategies allow species to occupy niches that might otherwise be too risky due to predation pressure. The relationship between body size and niche occupation shows fascinating patterns. Smaller species tend to be more specialized, often focusing on specific food types or habitats. Larger species, in contrast, tend to be more generalist in their habits, able to utilize a wider range of resources. This pattern helps explain why smaller species often have more restricted distributions, while larger species tend to be more widespread. Seasonal changes in niche occupation demonstrate the flexibility of many marsupial species. During times of resource scarcity, many species can shift their diets or expand their foraging areas. Some can even enter states of torpor to survive periods when their preferred resources are unavailable. This flexibility in niche occupation has been crucial for their long-term survival. Urban environments represent a new frontier for niche adaptation among South American marsupials. Some species, particularly the common opossum, have successfully colonized cities and towns, developing new behaviors to exploit human-modified environments. These urban adapters show how marsupials continue to evolve and find new niches even in contemporary landscapes. The role of competition in shaping niche occupation cannot be overstated. Where multiple marsupial species coexist, they often show subtle differences in their resource use or activity patterns that reduce direct competition. This niche differentiation has been crucial in allowing multiple species to persist in the same general area. Parasitism and disease have also influenced niche evolution. Some marsupial species have evolved remarkable resistance to certain diseases or parasites, allowing them to exploit resources or habitats that might be dangerous for other species. This includes resistance to snake venom in some species, enabling them to prey on venomous snakes that other predators must avoid. Climate change is currently forcing many species to adapt their niches or find new ones. Some are shifting their ranges to higher elevations or latitudes, while others are modifying their behavior or diet preferences to cope with changing conditions. This ongoing process of niche adaptation provides valuable insights into how species respond to environmental change. 11. Reproductive strategies. The reproductive strategies of South American marsupials represent some of the most sophisticated and varied approaches to reproduction in the mammalian world. These strategies have evolved to address specific environmental challenges while maintaining the distinctive characteristics of marsupial reproduction. At the core of marsupial reproduction is the abbreviated gestation period, followed by extended development in the pouch or, in some cases, attached to external teats. South American species have evolved particularly diverse variations on this basic theme. The Virginia opossum, for example, has developed the ability to produce up to 3 litters per year in favorable conditions, with each litter potentially containing up to 20 young. This high reproductive potential allows populations to recover quickly from losses and take advantage of favorable environmental conditions. What makes South American marsupial reproduction particularly fascinating is the variety of adaptations for different environmental challenges. In tropical rainforest environments, where resources are relatively stable year-round, species often breed continuously throughout the year. In contrast, species living in more seasonal environments, such as the southern temperate forests, have evolved strict breeding seasons timed to coincide with peak resource availability. The development of the pouch shows remarkable variation among South American species. Some, like the water opossum, have evolved completely enclosed waterproof pouches that allow them to swim and dive while carrying young. Others have developed only rudimentary pouches or skin folds, while some lack a pouch entirely. These variations reflect different ecological pressures and lifestyles. Maternal investment strategies show interesting patterns across different species. Larger opossums typically produce more young per litter but invest less in each individual offspring. Smaller species often produce fewer young but invest more heavily in each one. This trade-off between quantity and quality of offspring represents different solutions to the challenge of ensuring reproductive success. The ability to suspend or delay pregnancy represents another sophisticated adaptation in many South American marsupials. Females can halt the development of embryos during unfavorable conditions, resuming development when conditions improve. This reproductive flexibility allows species to maximize their chances of successfully raising young while minimizing energy expenditure during challenging times. The development of young in South American marsupials follows a precisely orchestrated sequence that has evolved to maximize survival chances. Newborns, though extremely underdeveloped by placental mammal standards, possess specific adaptations for the journey from the birth canal to the pouch or teats. These include well-developed forelimbs for climbing and an enhanced sense of smell for locating the mother's teats. Sexual selection has led to interesting variations in reproductive strategies. In some species, males engage in aggressive competition for mates, leading to sexual dimorphism where males are significantly larger than females. In other species, female choice plays a more important role, with males developing elaborate courtship behaviors or scent-marking strategies to attract mates. The timing of reproductive maturity varies significantly among species and reflects different life history strategies. Some smaller species can begin breeding before they're a year old, while larger species may take several years to reach reproductive maturity. This variation in reproductive timing helps species balance the costs and benefits of early versus delayed reproduction in different ecological contexts. Parental care strategies show remarkable diversity. While most care is provided by the mother, the duration and intensity of this care vary considerably among species. Some young remain with their mother long after they've left the pouch, learning crucial survival skills. Others become independent relatively quickly, allowing the mother to produce another litter sooner. The energetic costs of reproduction have led to interesting metabolic adaptations. Lactating females can significantly increase their metabolic rate and food intake to support milk production. Some species have evolved the ability to modify their milk composition as the young develop, providing changing nutritional profiles that match the developmental needs of their offspring. Social aspects of reproduction vary among species. While most South American marsupials are primarily solitary, some species show interesting social behaviors during breeding seasons. Females may share nest sites or even assist in caring for each other's young, behaviors that suggest more complex social organizations than previously recognized. The evolution of reproductive timing often corresponds with environmental cycles. Species living in areas with strong seasonal variations in rainfall or temperature typically time their breeding to ensure that young are weaned during periods of peak resource availability. This synchronization of reproduction with environmental conditions helps maximize offspring survival. Disease resistance plays an important role in reproductive success. South American marsupials have evolved various immunological adaptations to protect both mothers and young from pathogens. The transfer of immune factors through milk provides crucial protection for developing young, while maternal immune systems show enhanced activity during pregnancy and lactation. Modern conservation challenges have begun to impact reproductive success in many species. Habitat fragmentation can limit mate choice and genetic diversity, while climate change may disrupt traditional breeding seasons. Understanding these impacts is crucial for developing effective conservation strategies for threatened species. The study of marsupial reproduction continues to reveal new insights into evolutionary adaptations. Recent research has shown that some species possess sophisticated mechanisms for sex determination and genetic inheritance that weren't previously recognized. These discoveries highlight the continuing importance of research into marsupial reproductive biology. 12. Evolutionary success stories. The evolutionary success stories of South American marsupials provide compelling examples of adaptation, resilience, and survival against considerable odds. These tales of evolutionary triumph offer important insights into the mechanisms of natural selection and the remarkable adaptability of life. The Virginia opossum represents perhaps the most dramatic success story among South American marsupials. Originally evolving in South America, this species has expanded its range northward following the Great American Biotic Interchange, becoming the only marsupial to naturally colonize North America. Its success stems from remarkable adaptability, including the ability to thrive in diverse habitats from tropical forests to urban environments. The opossum's success demonstrates how behavioral flexibility, combined with generalist feeding habits and reproductive efficiency, can lead to evolutionary triumph. The water opossum, or yapak, presents another remarkable example of evolutionary success through specialization. This species has evolved into a unique niche as the world's only semi-aquatic marsupial. Through precise adaptations including webbed feet, water-resistant fur, and a waterproof pouch, the yapak has mastered life in aquatic environments. This specialization allowed it to exploit resources unavailable to other marsupials, demonstrating how finding an unoccupied niche can lead to evolutionary success. The story of the mouse opossums shows how small size can be a winning strategy. These diminutive marsupials have successfully radiated into numerous species, each adapted to slightly different ecological niches. Their small size allows them to exploit resources unavailable to larger animals, while their high reproductive rates enable rapid population recovery after disturbances. This evolutionary strategy has proven remarkably successful, with mouse opossums representing one of the most diverse groups of living marsupials. The Manito del Monte provides an extraordinary example of evolutionary persistence. As the sole surviving member of an ancient lineage, this species has maintained its position in the temperate rainforests of southern South America for millions of years. Its success stems from specialized adaptations, including the ability to enter torpor during resource-scarce periods, and efficient climbing abilities that allow it to exploit three-dimensional forest habitats. This species demonstrates how evolutionary specialization, when matched with appropriate habitat, can ensure long-term survival. The woolly opossums showcase successful adaptation to arboreal life. These species have evolved extraordinary capabilities for life in the forest canopy, including prehensile tails, excellent night vision, and specialized hands and feet for gripping branches. Their success in colonizing the upper layers of tropical forests demonstrates how evolution can produce sophisticated solutions to the challenges of three-dimensional movement and life at height. The success of shrew opossums in high-altitude environments represents another evolutionary triumph. These species have adapted to the challenging conditions of Andean habitats, developing enhanced oxygen processing capabilities and specialized insectivorous feeding strategies. Their ability to thrive in these demanding environments shows how evolution can produce solutions to even the most challenging environmental conditions. The gray short-tailed opossum has become a success story in an unexpected way. As a laboratory model organism, its relatively simple care requirements and well-understood biology have made it valuable for scientific research, demonstrating how evolutionary adaptations can create unexpected advantages in modern contexts. The ability of many marsupial species to survive in human-modified landscapes represents a contemporary evolutionary success story. Some species have adapted remarkably well to urban and suburban environments, developing new behavioral strategies for exploiting human-created resources while avoiding associated dangers. This demonstrates ongoing evolution in response to novel environmental challenges. The success of marsupials in recovering from population bottlenecks shows the power of evolutionary resilience. Several species have bounced back from severely reduced populations, maintaining genetic diversity through mechanisms not yet fully understood. This resilience suggests that evolutionary success sometimes depends on hidden adaptive capabilities that become apparent only under extreme pressure. The development of venom resistance in some opossum species represents an evolutionary breakthrough that opened new feeding opportunities. This adaptation allows these species to prey on venomous snakes, accessing a food resource that most mammals must avoid. This demonstrates how a single evolutionary innovation can create new opportunities for success. The evolution of sophisticated immune systems in many marsupial species has contributed to their success in tropical environments where disease pressure is high. Some species show remarkable resistance to diseases that affect other mammals, demonstrating how evolutionary adaptation to disease can contribute to species survival. Reproductive innovations have played a crucial role in many marsupial success stories. The ability to suspend pregnancy during unfavorable conditions, produce multiple litters per year when conditions are good, and provide extended parental care through pouch rearing have all contributed to various species' success in different environments. The success of some marsupial species in developing social behaviors challenges the traditional view of marsupials as strictly solitary animals. Some species show evidence of cooperative behaviors, particularly during breeding seasons, demonstrating how social adaptation can contribute to evolutionary success in certain contexts. The ability of many marsupial species to maintain stable populations despite profound environmental changes over millions of years represents perhaps their greatest success story. This long-term persistence demonstrates the power of evolutionary adaptation to produce robust solutions to environmental challenges. And so we reach the end of our journey through the fascinating world of South American marsupials. We've explored their ancient origins, traced their incredible migrations across continents, and marveled at their diverse adaptations. We've delved into their unique reproductive strategies, witnessed their resilience in the face of extinction, and celebrated their evolutionary triumphs. But this is not truly the end. The story of South American marsupials continues to unfold, with new chapters being written through ongoing research and discovery. Scientists are constantly unearthing new fossils, analyzing genetic data, and observing these creatures in their natural habitats, revealing ever more intricate details about their lives and evolutionary history. What have we learned from this exploration? We've learned that life finds a way, even in the face of extraordinary challenges. We've learned that evolution is a master of innovation, shaping creatures in remarkable ways to fit their environments. And we've learned that even the smallest and most unassuming creatures can have incredible stories to tell. The story of South American marsupials is a testament to the power of life to persist, adapt, and diversify. It's a story that reminds us of the interconnectedness of all living things and the importance of preserving the incredible biodiversity of our planet. As we conclude this journey, let's carry with us a renewed appreciation for the natural world and a sense of wonder at the intricate tapestry of life that surrounds us. Let's continue to explore, to learn, and to protect the amazing creatures that share our planet. What are your thoughts on this incredible journey? What questions linger in your mind? Share your comments below, and let's continue the conversation. And if you're eager to explore more wonders of the natural world, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating adventures.